Select the one sentence that best meets the requirements of standard written English. A. The suspect was arrested at 6:47 p.m., by which time 22 police patrols had been deployed. More resources were on their way. This sentence uses a colon to separate these two clauses. A colon's job is to introduce lists or text, or to add emphasis or clarity. However, what follows the colon, more resources were on their way, doesn't provide any of that. It simply continues the previous thought and expands upon it. This being the case, we can see that a colon wouldn't be appropriate here, and we can mark this choice as incorrect. B. The suspect was arrested at 6:47 p.m., by which time 22 police patrols had been deployed, but more resources were on their way. This choice uses the conjunction but to create a contrast between these two clauses. But is a conjunction used to negate what was said before it. However, that's not really applicable here. There's nothing in the clause more resources were on their way that contradicts 22 police patrols had been deployed. Perhaps if the sentence had said only 22 police patrols had been deployed but more resources were on their way, that could make sense, as it draws a contrast between the insufficient amount that was sent out and how they're still sending more out. As the sentence stands, however, but doesn't make an appropriate conjunction, and we can mark this choice off. C. The suspect was arrested at 6:47 p.m., by which time 22 police patrols had been deployed, yet more resources were on their way. This choice uses the conjunction yet to separate the two clauses. Yet functions similarly to but in that it negates what was previously said. Although it's not 100% identical to but, it's close enough that we can mark this answer off for the same reason we marked off the previous answer. And D. The suspect was arrested at 6:47 p.m., by which time 22 police patrols had been deployed and more resources were on their way. This choice uses the conjunction and to separate these two clauses. In contrast to but and yet, we use and when connecting two similar ideas, which we see here. These two clauses work together by describing how many police patrols had already been deployed and how many resources were on their way. As one doesn't contradict the other, and makes perfect sense in this context. This being the case, we can go ahead and mark choice D as our final answer.